I don't know on the crossword.
Okay, that's okay. If you so what we'll do is just take some time to maybe see if you can get your answers into the crossword, see if you can wrap it up, and then you can turn it into me, and we'll see if we can go over it tomorrow, okay? But I don't want to go over it today because I think some of you need some more additional time to do that. And I want to be able to use the rest of our time to do a little bit more with our ratios and proportions that we started yesterday. So can anybody remind me, can you guys put your cameras back on, please? And who remembers something that we learned about ratios and proportions yesterday at the start of our new unit? We were doing some reviewing of some skills from last year. Okay, so I'll go Kyler, Alyssa, Andy, and Michaela. Go ahead, Kyler.
We learned about the word form, ratio form, and I think is it fraction form? Yeah.
Good. Okay, so there's word form, ratio form, and fraction form when we're talking about ratios. Good. Go ahead, Alyssa.
That they basically compare each other.
Okay, so it's something to do with comparing each other. Andy?
A proportion is a ratio. Two ratios very equivalent.
Okay, good. We didn't talk too much about proportions yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit more about those today. And Michaela?
Yeah, they kind of said everything.
Okay, so if you have those different forms of ratios, like Kyler said, the ratio form, the word form, and the fraction form, how do you read each of those? Do they say something different, or is it something similar? Michaela?
They'll say to some, like this to this. Like
Exactly.
I'm just, this will be a number.
Yeah, perfect. So it might be something like 1, 2, 3. Well, not like 1, 2, 3, but 1 TO 3. And that would be the ratio form, the word form, and the fraction form would look like 1/3, but you would read it 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So today I want us to look at a little bit with I want you guys to check out the long distance links article and activity that I put on your Google Classroom. So how about we first check out this long distance links article together. I'm thinking that, wait a minute, I've got to log in. Do you guys still have your, remember we still have the login for the Scholastic Math. If you need it, your login for students is frogdog3400. So if you want to get to that article and be able to see it, that would be fine. How about I share my screen and we can read the article together like super quick right now, okay? And that will save you from having to do that later on your own. Okay, so there's the photo of a snowshoe hare. Our lynx's top prey. Whoa. All right, so long distance lynx. Scientists are tracking these wildcats as they make epic journeys across North America. And this is by Ashley P. Taylor. Early on a September morning in 2017, nature photographer Tim Newton was awakened by what sounded like a herd of ravens outside his home in Anchorage, Alaska. Newton went to the window and saw what he thought was a stray cat on the deck below. 2 more ran by. Newton nearly shooed them off, but something stopped him. The creatures had black tufts sticking up from their ears. I thought, well, that's maybe not a domestic cat, recalls Newton. He was right. They were juvenile lynxes. Newton got his camera, took some pictures, and was about to go on with his day when he heard a mewing sound. It was a mother lynx in the grass next to the deck, calling her kittens. As she called several more times, they all came out of the grass one by one, Newton says. He began taking pictures from behind the screen door. The lynx kittens came up onto the deck, sat down, and stared at the camera, trying to figure out what was making the clicking noise. Eventually, all 7 kittens were on the deck, with the mother lynx standing beside them. Newton snapped a family photo. It's so cute, isn't it? And it says, the lynx family portrait Newton took from inside his house in 2017. Lynx boom. Newton is just one of many Alaska residents who have been spotting lynxes in recent years. Lynxes are medium-sized wildcats that live in the forests of Alaska and Canada, as well as in some of the lower 48 states. They're known for their tufted ears and their appetite for snowshoe hares. Today, lynx sightings are more common because populations are pretty high, says Knut Keeland, an ecologist at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. People might be seeing more lynxes now because the wildcats are moving around looking for their next meal. Snowshoe hares are lynx's favorite prey. The hare population rises and falls in a 10-year cycle. Because lynxes depend on snowshoe hares for food, lynx populations tend to follow the same pattern, but their peak lags a year or two. Hare populations peaked in the fall of 2018. Soon, the hare population will crash, and after that, the lynx population will likely follow suit. Wild studies. A snowshoe hare boom is an exciting time for scientists like Keeland who study the wildcats. He's the lead scientist of the Northwest Boreal Lynx Project. This collaboration between the University of Alaska Fairbanks, the National Park Service, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has been tracking the movement of lynx populations over the course of an entire snowshoe hare population cycle. One of the most perplexing lynx behaviors that scientists want to understand is why the wildcats go on long-distance journeys called disperals, sometimes traveling hundreds of miles. Scientists studying lynxes had received many reports of trappers who had caught a lynx with an ear tag or a radio collar far from the place it had been tagged, but there wasn't much data about these treks. Now Keeland and his colleagues are working to collect data on how common these disperals are, how far the lynxes travel, and where they go. Conservationists could use information about the habitats the lynxes pass through to protect them. The big question, of course, is why the lynxes make these treks in the first place. Researchers hope that their tracking data will help them figure that out. Since 2015, the researchers have trapped and outfitted lynxes with GPS collars that record their locations as they roam. The trapping and collaring typically happens in March and April. Every 4 hours, the collars send out data about where the lynxes are. Sometimes the collars fall off or stop working when their batteries die. Occasionally, trappers catch collared lynxes and return the tracking devices to the scientists. Keeland and colleagues have collared about 170 lynxes since the start of the project. And there's a picture of a researcher attaches a GPS collar to a lynx. It will track the cat's movements. Wow, that's really amazing. And so here's On the Move. There's the map. You can see they're up in Alaska. So when they say the lower 48 states, this is like where Maine is right here. These 48 states are attached together. And then we have Alaska way up here. And then we have Hawaii way out here in the ocean. So this is the area of the map where we are here, right here where Alaska meets up with the western part of Canada. And this red is the path that a lynx named Hobo took from March 4th, 2017 through September 15th, 2018. Hobo traveled more than 2,000 miles across Alaska and Canada. Wow, that's amazing. A long trek. This project has shown that each lynx's movement is different. Some stick around their home range, other lynxes go exploring, as Keeland calls it, and then return home. But lynxes do not migrate seasonally, summering in one place and wintering in another. Instead, the ones that go the distance are more likely to travel in a one-way disperal that Keeland and his team are researching. Disperals are also more common than researchers knew. What we're finding out now is that it's on a fairly large scale. Lots of animals do this apparently, and they're really going long distances, says Keeland. For example, a collared lynx nicknamed Hobo traveled 2,174 miles from June 2017 to July 2018. That was really quite something, Keeland says. Yet scientists aren't exactly sure what the reasons are for these epic journeys. The main hypothesis is that lynx disperse when food is scarce, but hare hunting is unlikely to explain everything about lynx movements. It's still unclear to me why they would end up moving so far. You would think that they should be able to find some food eventually. They shouldn't have to go hundreds of miles to find it, Keeland says. He concludes that other factors are likely involved. There are other things that go into the matter of being a lynx, he says. Someday, the project might help reveal what those things are. Wow, cool. Okay, so here is where we have some examples of working with rates. So Knut Keeland and his colleagues at the Northwest Boreal Lynx Project track where lynxes travel over time. To learn how fast the lynxes travel, they'll need to work with rates. A rate of speed is a type of ratio that compares the distance traveled to the amount of time it took to travel that distance. A unit rate is one that is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1. So tomorrow, we're going to look more at this process of doing unit rates so that then we can use these unit rates to answer the rest of these questions. Okay, and these questions have been posted in a different format on your Google Classroom. And this is the Unlocking Rates game that I also posted on your Google Classroom. So did anybody have the chance to try out that game that I posted on the Google Classroom? All right.
No, I forgot about the thing.
It's okay if you didn't. So, so for today, we're not going to have any homework other than missing assignments. Again, a lot of you have missing assignments that you need to finish and you need to pass in. You do not want those assignments to be turning into zeros, which they will do if you do not complete them. And we need you to make sure that you try to wipe all those things off of your list so that you don't carry them over into this new unit. So take some time today to chip away at any missing math assignments that you have. Look to see what you haven't passed in and get those finished and let me know if you need help. And then we're going to move forward tomorrow with working on this assignment. So you don't have to work on this assignment today because we're going to come back to it and do it in class tomorrow. Okay? So what are some quarts that you have to wrap up our class today? Question, understanding, apology, restate, thank you. Anybody have a quart to wrap things up? Okay, Alyssa and then Michaela.
Thank you for letting us do like the challenging crossword puzzle because it is pretty challenging and it was super fun.
Okay, good. You're welcome. And it was, again, good practice with doing all of those different operations with both fractions and multiples. So it was good practice for us to keep reviewing those skills that we need to work on for our prerequisite skills for our 7th grade math. So good job. Michaela?
I now understand that. It's crazy how, like, lynxes will travel thousands and thousands of miles.
Really, I totally agree. It's really interesting how technology is letting scientists learn all these things about these different animals, right? With those GPS trackers. I love that idea. So cool.
Also, like, wouldn't those hurt the cats? Like,
It's just like a collar with
just
a...
how clunky they looked.
Yeah.
It's just like a regular collar you put on your dog or something.
Yep. It just has like a little tracking device on it too, instead of just like preventing fleas or having your information about, you know, that they get the rabies shot or something.
They're like stronger animals. It's not like a tiny dog with like a little like fragile bone structure or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Okay. All right, guys. Good job. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, thank
Bye.
you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.